Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashtatya Deshatarine
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Bhagavad Gita as it is key. Oda Premanandi.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to everyone. Kunja is here. Dr. Adam is here. And we are so happy you're here. Well, I am. And we're continuing in Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 13, text 32. And we're going to start with our invocation and then dive right in. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatan Vitang Tang Sajivam Sarvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Pancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Tititanam Pavanavebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gauda Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. Ukum Koroti Achalang Pongong Long Hayate Girim Yat Kripatam Maham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam. Okay, the moment we've all been waiting for. Chapter 13, Nature, the Enjoyer in Consciousness. Text 32. Anaditva nirgunatvat paramatmayam avyayah Sharirasto pikamteya nakaroti nalipyate. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled.
By vision of eternity, does he mean like if you're considering the eternality of everything, or is this like a different thing?
Like let's see what he says in the purport there. Purport. A living entity appears to be born because of the birth of the material body. But actually, the living entity is eternal. He is not born. And in spite of his being situated in a material body, he is transcendental and eternal. Thus, he cannot be destroyed. By nature, he is full of bliss. He does not engage himself in any material activities. Therefore, the activities performed due to his contact with material bodies do not entangle him. Ita sarva gatam saukshmya rakasham upalipyate sarvatra vastito dehe tatatman upalipyate. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all-pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. Purport. The air enters into water, mud, stool, and whatever else is there. Still, it does not mix with anything. Similarly, the living entity, even though situated in varieties of bodies, is aloof from them due to his subtle nature. Therefore, it is impossible to see with the material eyes how the living entity is in contact with this body, and how he is out of it after the destruction of the body. No one in science can ascertain this. Yata prakasayat yeka kritsnam lokam imam ravihi chatram chatri tata kritsnam prakashayati bharata. O son of Bharat, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. It's one of my favorite verses. Purport. There are various theories regarding consciousness. Here in Bhagavad Gita, the example of the sun and the sunshine is given. As the sun is situated in one place but is illuminating the whole universe, so a small particle of spirit soul, although situated in the heart of this body, is illuminating the whole body by consciousness. Thus, consciousness is the proof of the presence of the soul, as sunshine or light is the proof of the presence of the sun. When the soul is present in the body, there is consciousness all over the body, and as soon as the soul is passed from the body, there is no more consciousness. This can be easily understood by an intelligent man. Therefore, consciousness is not a product of the combinations of matter. It is the symptom of the living entity. The consciousness of the living entity, although qualitatively one with the supreme consciousness, is not supreme, because the consciousness of one particular body does not share that of another body. But the supersoul, which is situated in all bodies as the friend of the individual soul, is conscious of all bodies. That is the difference between supreme consciousness and individual consciousness. Very nice. Let me just see if I can... Cool, it reaches. Just plugging in here. Okay. Text 35. Chitrasektra yayorevam antaram jnana chakshusha bhuta prakriti moksham cha yevidur yanti te param. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. Purport. The purport of this 13th chapter is that one should know the distinction between the body, the owner of the body, and the supersoul. One should recognize the process of liberation as described in verses 8 through 12. Then one can go on to the supreme destination. A faithful person should at first have some good association to hear of God, and thus gradually become enlightened. If one accepts a spiritual master, one can learn to distinguish between matter and spirit, and that becomes the stepping stone for further spiritual realization. A spiritual master, by various instructions, teaches his students to get free from the material concept of life. For instance, in Bhagavad Gita, we find Krishna instructing Arjuna to free him from materialistic considerations. One can understand that this body is matter. It can be analyzed with its 24 elements. I'll read that again. One can understand that this body is matter. It can be analyzed with its 24 elements. The body is the gross manifestation, and the subtle manifestation is the mind and psychological effects. And the symptoms of life are the interaction of these features. But over and above this, there is the soul, and there is also the supersoul. The soul and the supersoul are two. This material world is working by the conjunction of the soul and the 24 material elements. One who can see the constitution of the whole material manifestation as this combination of the soul and material elements, and can also see the situation of the Supreme Soul, becomes eligible for transfer to the spiritual world. These things are meant for contemplation and for realization, and one should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the spiritual master. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 13th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of nature, the enjoyer, and consciousness. Come on. Woo! Sadhu, sadhu. Marble. So much nectar. Alright. Questions, comments at this point? Online or in-house? You know, you don't have to text them in. You can just say them. Unless you're hiding from the internet. You got any points?
I'm just wondering, so the summary of that chapter is the soul is us as an individual. I mean, like, they describe each one. The distinctions are that the soul is individualized, and the soul is the knower of the body, and Krishna is also the knower of the body as Paramatma. And Paramatma can be seen by knowledge that he is spread everywhere. And it's like, I like the comparison to the sky. The comparison about how sky subtly is subtle. I kind of want to find it. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all-pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, They're situated in that body.
All right.
That's pretty cool.
Very nice.
Is there anything you can add on to that summary, like any important parts of that chapter that I should remember? What's like the most significant couple thing?
Well, I also like the example of the air and mud. You know, like if there's air inside mud, it's basically within the mud, but the air doesn't get muddy. You know, like the air remains like an air bubble.
Yeah.
And that's the actual position of the soul. Not really mixing with any of the material elements, but situated within them. And as soon as there's an opening, the air comes out. Never really mixed with the mud. So I like that example. It's all pretty simple. But there's a lot of nice details to hear.
As soon as there's an opening.
Right. Yep. Well, let's see. Okay, keep reading. Chapter 14, the three modes of material nature. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Padam Bhuya Pravakshyami Jnananam Jnanam Uttamam Yasgatva Munaya Sarve Param Siddhim Mito Gataha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again I shall declare to you the supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection." I was singing your glories on the content seva.
Oh.
We don't have to do it, but I'm just reminding you. It's a never-ending grind. Trying to do 3 or 5 a day. That's a big grind, actually, isn't it?
It's a big grind, but it's worth it.
Sorry, I'm going to read that translation again. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection." From the 7th chapter to the end of the 12th chapter, Sri Krishna in detail reveals the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, the Lord himself is further enlightening Arjuna. If one understands this chapter through the process of philosophical speculation, he will come to an understanding of devotional service. In the 13th chapter, it was clearly explained that by humbly developing knowledge, one may possibly be freed from the material entanglement. It has also been explained that it is due to association with the modes of nature that the living entity is entangled in this material world. Now, in this chapter, the Supreme Personality explains that those modes of nature explains what those modes of nature are, how they act, how they bind, and how they give liberation. The knowledge explained in this chapter is proclaimed by the Supreme Lord to be superior to the knowledge given so far in other chapters. By understanding this knowledge, various great sages attained perfection and transferred to the spiritual world. The Lord now explains the same knowledge in a better way. This knowledge is far, far superior to all other processes of knowledge thus far explained. And knowing this, many attained perfection. Thus it is expected that one who understands this 14th chapter will attain perfection. He doesn't say when, but attain it they will. Kuja says, consciousness is proof of the soul. I like that. Sorry to type late, could not spell consciousness. It's alright. Yeah, something nice to meditate on. This kind of came to me. Was in the practical world. Imagine if all the souls were removed. What would the material world be without the living entities? You know, like you see like an animal dead on the side of the road. Just imagine, try to imagine the material world without living entities in it. Souls. And, if we meditate on this, like in our daily life, we can like really perceive, like Prabhupada says, the symptoms of the living entity. The animation of these different bodies is ultimately coming from the living entity. It's really amazing to think about, imagine. And I like to meditate on, spiritual existence is Sat Chit Ananda, eternality, knowledge, and bliss. Bliss, like fun, is of the spiritual nature. There's nothing fun in the material world necessarily. Like the human and animals also like have fun, enjoy, like the tendency to enjoy, the proclivity towards fun. Like I was watching all these college students sliding down the hill, and all these different funny sleds that they were making, and they were just, it was purely for fun. And I was kind of meditating on, like it's almost like a perverted reflection of like the activities at Goloka Vrindavan, like Krishna and his friends, playing and exchanging love and pastimes, taking prasadam, monkey in the middle, and just having fun. Like the nature of fun is that of, ultimately of spiritual nature, but it's received and expressed pervertedly in the material world. People think we're the body and this and that, but you can kind of get a glimpse into spiritual atmosphere is that of fun. I mean, 1/3 of the elements that make up everything is bliss, ananda. Sat Chit Ananda. Like it's it's the nature of the spiritual world. So whenever people and living entities are doing that here, you can kind of like get like a glimpse of actually the spiritual world. Yeah. Got something. Dull. Yeah. It's actually by nature a dark place. Dark. Dull. The sun also is, its illumination is coming from that of the Brahmajyoti, ultimately. So the nature of the sun, the illuminating nature, can also be understood to be directly connected with the spiritual nature. The sun is very special in the material world. Yeah, the material world by nature is dark. Yeah. It's really amazing. Like Prabhupada said, these are for us to meditate on. The more we meditate on these points and hear these chapters, then when we go out, we can, Krishna will reciprocate with us in allowing us to perceive and have discrimination a little bit more on, what's material, what's actually spiritual. Because we just think, oh, everything's Maya. Well, that's to one degree true here, but also one can argue that the whole material manifestation is actually serving Krishna and slowly pushing the souls back towards Krishna consciousness, and ultimately, run by the sanction of the Lord. And one can actually see it all as totally transcendental also, in connection with the Lord. So it depends on mood, depends on realization. Anyway, these are just some points. Text 2. Idam jnanam upashritya mama siddharmyamagataha sargebhi napajayante pralayena vyattanti cha. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation, nor disturbed at the time of dissolution. Everything was just material, there would be no fun. Like you can observe, like kids having fun. It's like the inner nature of the soul shining through. What do you think about that? Picking up what I'm trying to say?
Can you give me like the mechanical way that is true?
Mechanical?
Like just like the way that it's, like a synopsis of how is it the soul?
Where else would fun come from?
That is pretty true. I don't know.
Like just like looking at the world. The world is literally just made up of these elements, material elements. Just like the body is made of material elements. When the soul leaves the body, it just becomes dead matter. So everything here is like that. But the living entities are what is animating. That's where life, we have the whole book, Life Comes from Life. Life is coming from
I see.
the living entities, which is ultimately from spiritual. But yeah, we're here, we identify with the material and everything, but these bodies are just dead matter, ultimately. So, if you look at the world in terms of just the elements, there's no consciousness, there's no awareness, there's no fun, there's just kind of dissecting apart the difference of the nature of the spiritual world and the material world, material elements. The spiritual elements are literally Sat, Chit, Ananda. So, you see that element of Ananda, though it may be pervertedly expressed, it has its origin in the spiritual nature, is my point. But I'm just saying, like, we can, anyway, I guess I'm maybe overdoing it on this point, but it's not making sense.
It is.
Yeah, to me, that's fun. Observing the fun is fun. Connecting, with the spiritual nature, ultimately with Krishna, is fun. It's a lot more fun than whatever, perverted fun may be going on in this material world. But it's fun to see that connection. I'll read the verse again. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Purport. After acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one acquires qualitative equality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becoming free from the repetition of birth and death. One does not, however, lose his identity as an individual soul. It is understood from Vedic literature that the liberated souls who have reached the transcendental planets of the spiritual sky always look to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, being engaged in his transcendental loving service. So even after liberation, the devotees do not lose their individual identities. Generally, in the material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by the three modes of material nature. Knowledge which is not contaminated by the three modes of nature is called transcendental knowledge. As soon as one is situated in that transcendental knowledge, he is on the same platform as the Supreme Person. Those who have no knowledge of the spiritual sky hold that after being freed from the material activities of the material form, the spiritual identity becomes formless without any variegatedness. However, just as there is material variegatedness in this world, in the spiritual world there is also variegatedness. Those in ignorance of this think that spiritual existence is opposed to material variety. But actually, in the spiritual sky, one attains a spiritual form. There are spiritual activities, and the spiritual situation is called devotional life. That atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated, and there one is equal in quality with the Supreme Lord. To obtain such knowledge, one must develop all the spiritual qualities. One who thus develops the spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or by the destruction of the material world. Mama yonir mahad brahma tasmin garbham dadamyaham samava sarva bhutanam tato bhavati bharata. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharata. Purport. This is an explanation of the world. Everything that takes place is due to the combination of Kshetra and Kshetragya, the body and the spirit soul. This combination of material nature and the living entity is made possible by the Supreme God Himself. The Mahat Tattva is the total cause of the total cosmic manifestation, and that total substance of the material cause in which there are three modes of nature is sometimes called Brahman. The Supreme Personality impregnates that total substance, and thus innumerable universes become possible. This total material substance, the Mahat Tattva, is described as Brahman in the Vedic literature, Mundaka Upanishad 119. Tasmade tad Brahma nama rupamanam chajayate. The Supreme Person impregnates that Brahman with the seeds of the living entities. The 24 elements, beginning from earth, water, fire, and air, are all material energy, and they constitute what is called Mahad Brahma, or the Great Brahman, the material nature. As explained in the 7th chapter, beyond this there is another superior nature, the living entity. Into material nature, the superior nature is mixed by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And thereafter, all living entities are born of this material nature. So it's a mixture. The scorpion lays its eggs in piles of rice, and sometimes it is said that the scorpion is born out of rice. But the rice is not the cause of the scorpion. Actually, the eggs were laid by the mother. Similarly, material nature is not the cause of the birth of the living entities. The seed is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they only seem to come out as products of material nature. Thus, every living entity, according to his past activities, has a different body, created by this material nature, so that the entity can enjoy or suffer according to his past deeds. The Lord is the cause of all the manifestations of living entities in this material world. Sarvayonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavantiya tasam brahma mahadyonir aham bija pradapita. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving Father. Purport. In this verse, it is clearly explained that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the original Father of all living entities. The living entities are combinations of the material nature and the spiritual nature. Such living entities are seen not only on this planet, but on every planet, even on the highest, where Brahma is situated. Everywhere there are living entities. Within the earth, there are living entities, even within water and within fire. All these appearances are due to the mother, material nature, and Krishna's seed-giving process. The purport is that the material world is impregnated with living entities who come out in various forms at the time of creation according to their past deeds. Sattvam rajastama iti guna prakriti sambhava nibadnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. Purport. The living entity, because he is transcendental, has nothing to do with this material nature. Still, because he has become conditioned by the material world, he is acting under the spell of the three modes of material nature. Because living entities have different kinds of bodies in terms of the different aspects of nature, they are induced to act according to that nature. This is the cause of the varieties of happiness and distress. Tarasatvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukhasangena bhagnati jnana sangena chandagha. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. Purport. The living entities conditioned by material nature are of various types. One is happy, another is very active, and another is helpless. All these types of psychological manifestations are causes of the entity's conditioned status in nature. How they are differently conditioned is explained in this section of Bhagavad Gita. The mode of goodness is first considered. The effect of developing the mode of goodness in the material world is that one becomes wiser than those otherwise conditioned. A man in the mode of goodness is not so much affected by material miseries, and he has a sense of advancement in material knowledge. The representative type is the Brahmana, who is supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness. This sense of happiness is due to understanding that in the mode of goodness one is more or less free from sinful reactions. Actually, in the Vedic literature, it is said that the mode of goodness means greater knowledge and a greater sense of happiness. The difficulty here is that when a living entity is situated in the mode of goodness, he becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than others. In this way, he becomes conditioned. The best examples are the scientist and the philosopher. Each is very proud of his knowledge, and because they generally improve their living conditions, they feel a sort of material happiness. This sense of advanced happiness in conditioned life makes them bound by the mode of goodness of material nature. As such, they are attracted toward working in the mode of goodness, and as long as they have an attraction for working in that way, they have to take some type of body in the modes of nature. Thus, there is no likelihood of liberation or of being transferred to the spiritual world. Repeatedly, one may become a philosopher, a scientist, or a poet, and repeatedly become entangled in the same disadvantages of birth and death. But due to the illusion of the material energy, one thinks that that sort of life is pleasant. Rajoragatmakam vidi trishna sanga samudbhavam tannabadnati kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. Purport. The mode of passion is characterized by the attraction between man and woman. Woman has attraction for man, and man has attraction for woman. This is called the mode of passion. And when the mode of passion is increased, one develops the hankering for material enjoyment. He wants to enjoy sense gratification. For sense gratification, a man in the mode of passion wants some honor in society or in the nation, and he wants to have a happy family with nice children, wife, and house. These are the products of the mode of passion. As long as one is hankering after these things, he has to work very hard. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that he becomes associated with the fruits of his activities and thus becomes bound by such activities. In order to please his wife, children, and society, and to keep up his prestige, one has to work. Therefore, the whole material world is more or less in the mode of passion. Modern civilization is considered to be advanced in the standard of the mode of passion. Formerly, the advanced condition was considered to be in the mode of goodness. If there is no liberation for those in the mode of goodness, what to speak of those who are entangled in the mode of passion? Tamasvajnanam vidhi mahanam sarvadehinam pramadalasya nidrabhistan nibhadnanti bharata. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. Nibhadnati. Purport. In this verse, the specific application of the word to is very significant. This means that the mode of ignorance is a very peculiar qualification of the embodied soul. The mode of ignorance is just the opposite of the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, by development of knowledge, one can understand what is what. By the mode of ignorance, it's just the opposite. Everyone under the spell of the mode of ignorance becomes mad, and a madman cannot understand what is what. Instead of making advancement, one becomes degraded. The definition of the mode of ignorance is stated in the Vedic literature. Vastu yatatmya jnana varakam viparyaya jnana janakam tamaha. Under the spell of ignorance, one cannot understand a thing as it is. For example, everyone can see that his grandfather has died, and therefore he will also die. Man is mortal. The children that he conceives will also die, so death is sure. Still, people are madly accumulating money and working very hard all day and night, not caring for the eternal spirit. This is madness. In their madness, they are very reluctant to make advancement in spiritual understanding. Such people are very lazy. When they are invited to associate for spiritual understanding, they are not much interested. They are not even active like the man who is controlled by the mode of passion. Thus, another symptom of one embedded in the mode of ignorance is that he sleeps more than is required. 6 hours of sleep is sufficient. But a man in the mode of ignorance sleeps at least 10 or 12 hours a day. Such a man appears to be always dejected and is addicted to intoxicants and sleeping. These are the symptoms of a person conditioned by the mode of ignorance. Any points at this juncture? We heard about the goodness, the passion, and the ignorance. We identify so much with our body and the psychological state.
Yeah.
We really think it's us. Yeah, probably it has nothing to do with us. It's not amazing.
We have, as sky is, what is it, as sky is situated. As sky is there, but it isn't touching anything.
Yeah, it's not entangled with anything, but is present everywhere.
And the soul is all pervading, is that true?
Pervading throughout this whole body.
Oh.
The super soul is all pervading.
Okay.
In each and every body. Well, any points online? Kunja? My sideways. Oh, here we go. Okay. Alright, Krishna. Relishing. Hare Krishna. That is true. Relishing. It's like drinking nectar into your ears. You had a big pitcher and just pouring it in, drinking the nectar in. Prabhupada's ecstasies, the form of purports. Right here. It's amazing. Isn't it amazing that all this that we hear is coming from this book? It's contained inside this book. The contents of this book. This is what we're hearing every day. Isn't that amazing? The vibration in these books. It's amazing. Also, always trying for the mode of goodness can be tricky, and Maya is always trying to intervene. Yeah. Well, we have the help of a bona fide spiritual master, and we don't. Mode of goodness can act as like the springboard for transcendental goodness, but we don't have to do that. If we know how to engage in Krishna consciousness according to our situation, you can just jump straight to being transcendental. Actually, if we know how to properly engage. But yeah, a lot of times hear chant association, right? Yeah, that's true. It's rare. Devotees are not really meant to be so isolated, practicing by themselves somewhere. But it can be done. An advanced soul can be out in the world, but totally absorbed in Krishna consciousness, not getting distracted by so many things, Anyway, we can call it here. Hold on a second. Yeah, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. Alright, thank you so much. Alright, Bo. We will be here tomorrow, same time, same place.
Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.